Shanti. You know what this symbol means? We say namaste and we put our heads down a little, and it means I bow to the divine in you. So it's a very lovely greeting. And the other greeting that I hope you'll take away in your hearts is Om Shanti. And if you happen to be at an airport and you spot someone with, a badge, something like this, and you can say Om Shanti to them, and it'll be an instant connection. They know that you're a friend and family of the Brahma Kumaris. It's been like being in a greenhouse, a very, very contained atmosphere, regulated environment in which little seedlings can grow safely, but it's time to transplant them out into the cold air and the wind and the weather and the atmosphere and all the things that we know are out there. But I'm sure that the things that you've understood and accepted in your heart are the things that you'll carry on practicing, and those are definitely the methods to keep you safe, so that you're not shaken by the negativity and the evil. Sometimes it's sheer evil that's around us, but if you stay true to yourself and your inner conscience, and you're making the right choices each day, each moment, that will definitely protect you from anything that comes from outside. And yes, there'll be things that come up from inside, but you also know how to deal with those through your connection with the one above, and take that power and protection and help. All that you need is available. I particularly want to focus on the timetable that you might be keeping when you leave here. 4 o'clock, of course, is perfect, but if not 4 o'clock, then whatever time it is, your usual wake-up time, give yourself time before that. And I promise that half an hour of silence for yourself or an hour of silence for yourself will be a very, very good investment, and you won't miss the sleep that you've been deprived of. It'll be a very good replacement. In fact, sometimes if you're tired, then rather than try and sleep, just try and go inside and make yourself still. But the perfect timetable: early morning, time for silence, introspection, getting the compass straight, and then a conversation with the divine. And at the end of the conversation, to ask the question, what would you like me to do today? And just see yourself as an instrument and see what it is that happens and flows through you through the whole day, while you're engaged in all the other things that you're responsible for. Because certainly running away from responsibility is adding more karmic burden. I think everybody's very used to this idea of karma, action, give and take, the exchange of karma. But at this point in human history, we seem to be carrying a lot of baggage, a lot of karma. So at each moment, I have a choice whether to divest or to add. And can I, as I go along, not incur further karma, but through my thoughts of good wishes and pure feelings for all, through words that are going to be supportive, encouraging, and uplifting, and through actions that are filled with kindness and compassion, if I just keep track of thoughts, words, and actions through the day, then by the end of the day, definitely, I would have reduced the burden of my karma, and I would have accumulated good karma for myself. The accumulation of good karma isn't heavy, it's very light. Just like when there are thoughts that are negative, anger, greed, they're very heavy and they come like a sledgehammer and they have a huge impact. But when there's thoughts of peace, of joy, of love, they're very light, very subtle. And so all these positive aspects are very subtle. And so good karma is also subtle, it's not heavy. Anything that I've done which is against my conscience, which is against the sanctity of life on all levels, which pulls me down, then I know that it's karma that's heavy and I'm having to struggle with that. And it'll probably also bring me sorrow. But thoughts, words, actions that are compliant with my new purpose means that I'm becoming lighter all the time. We spoke about purpose on the first day, I think. And so my hope is that you rediscovered your purpose. Some of you spoke about having had that clarity and then getting too busy, getting too occupied, but a chance for self-reflection, not just yesterday, but through the whole period. Perhaps your purpose is clear now. And if purpose is spiritual purpose, then the words may be different, but the concept will be the same, that I want to come to my own perfect state of being. And this is the time to do it, in the sense that the descending energies, the ascending energies, I have to choose which direction I want to go in. And sometimes I've been caught in the middle, being pulled on both sides. But if I've made a decision that I want to be on the ascent, then the forces of the universe will help me move in that way. So intention is a very, very big thing. And so what is my motivation? What is my intention? And if my intention is pure and is clear, there will be support and I'll be able to get to my destination. And intention comes in all the little things that we do also. There was a beautiful expression that came up at some point, and it was seeing the sacred in that which is mundane and ordinary. Yes, I might be just simply cooking, and it can be a very mundane thing, or it can be a very passionate thing, or it can be totally based on attachment or ego or greed. But it can be a higher purpose in that also. I'm doing it out of pure love and gratitude for what the universe has provided, for what God has given. Most religions have some sort of Thanksgiving festival, but that usually comes once a year. But can it be every day in my life that I begin with thank you and I finish with thank you? And through the day, there's also that sense of gratitude through the whole day. A life filled with gratitude is a life in which ego, greed, and anger have no space. But when I forget about gratitude, then all these other negative energies come in. There are lots of keywords that all of us picked up and all of you picked up also through these days. But one of the other words was bridging. And so who's the bridge? You're the bridge. Whatever it is you've experienced here, you carry with you out into the world, out there, and you become the bridge for many, many others. They see that your face has changed, your behavior has changed, your responses have changed, and it's no more reaction, but it's responsibility. The response, the ability to respond in the right way. And so they'll see all of that, and that will inspire them and tell them that there's something I can do. When we read the story of great people, then we're sometimes inspired, but then we think, but that was then, or that was them. But when we see people like us, and we see their transformation, then we say, I can do the same also. And so it's a very lovely way to be a bridge for many, many others. Bridges get trampled on, right? That's the purpose. And I say this not from this experience, but when the dadis would come to the West, and their culture and generation was a very different one. And I was young at that time. I'm still young. But it really felt like being a bridge between East and West. And I'd be translating for all of them in some way or another. And it was a tremendous exercise in terms of memory and understanding, but also a huge door that opened up to learn so much. And sometimes it would be the daddies who'd say, but how come such and such a person doesn't understand this? And sometimes it would be this side that'd say, how come the daddies don't understand us? And so I felt at that time being a bridge meant being trampled on from both directions. But this is a different type of bridge. But yes, you will be challenged. And so that's also being trampled on. But when you're challenged, ask yourself, what is it that I truly believe in? To ask myself the question, well, where does my faith lie? Is a little bit more subtle, but what do I believe in? Do I believe in the power of goodness? Do I believe in the power of truth? And if that is very clear to me, then it's okay if it's challenged. I'll have the courage and the power to stand up to it. And sometimes in the face of sheer evil, my own faith and courage will help me stand up to that also. But of course, there's also a lovely expression that comes in Hindi, and it says something like, if you take one step forward, God comes 1,000 steps forward to help you. But you have to take that first step. That power is available. As I take that first step, the 1,000 steps of coming closer happen. And so whatever is my pure intention and the power of my faith will help me make my decisions. And in everything we have a choice. The thing about spirituality is that it opens up your horizon. You really see different possibilities, where usually we would say in the sense of body consciousness, just material consciousness, just in the awareness of the limited I. My vision is, and my perspective is very narrow, and so I don't even know that there are other choices that are possible. And of course, sometimes they also say that when you've got too much choice and not enough wisdom with which to make your choice, that's the formula for stress. But if today I follow not just my heart, because my heart can sometimes just be moved by emotions, but if I follow my conscience, I think that's a better criteria. If I follow my conscience and I move with that correct intention, the help is there. So the morning, the silence, but then also a chance for some spiritual study. So I'm nourishing my brain, my intellect. Whatever is your choice, whatever it is that inspires you, it can be secular prose poetry, it can be scripture, it can be whatever it is that you found helpful for yourself in the past. For us, we come together and study what we call the Murali, the teachings that have come through Brahma Baba, and we do that as an exercise across the world in our own time zones. And it's beautiful because what I've read this morning in the Murali will be the same thing that my sister in New York would have read. And when we speak, there's common ground. So it truly is a universal university, a spiritual university that shares the same message across the globe. So we all study the same lesson. And early in the morning, whatever you study is more likely to stay embedded within your awareness. And then through the day, that is your guide. That can help you. And what I've found also is that if out of whatever it is you've studied, you've taken maybe 1, 2, 3 points that really capture your imagination and attention, they'll stay with you. And then through the day, I hope you'll take the pause with you. And so when you stop for a pause, then those ideas will come back into your awareness and remind you of the direction that you need to go in the rest of the time. At the end of the day, it's also very useful doing an audit for the self. What was good? Thank you. What was not so good? Okay, what did I learn from that? Could I have done something differently? And most times, probably, if you're on that journey of transformation, you'll be able to see how things could have turned out differently if I had been different in my approach, or my tone, or my body language, or my eyes. This word drishti is D-R-I-S-H-T-I, drishti. So, vision. When somebody came into the room, what was my vision of them? Did I see them here? Or did I see their mood? Or did I see their clothes and make a judgment already before they even said anything? Or did I really just focus on the being? So, end of the day is a good time for an audit. But also, what I've found is that the little pauses that come very naturally, you've finished one meeting, you're walking to the next meeting, you take classes, you've finished a class, you're walking down the corridor, and whatever role you play in the world out there, there's always little pauses. One client has gone, you're waiting for the next, or you're walking to your next. In those moments, rather than check your phone, which is what we usually tend to do, just ask this question: could I have done things differently? And it'll come to you very quickly. And there'll be a lot of lessons to be learned from that. So if my intention is to move forward in my journey of spirituality, then it's not just the fact that I meditate in the morning and I meditate at night. Definitely do that. But it's also a question of awareness through the day. And so then becomes a way of life rather than just a practice and a discipline. But it's a way of life. Yoga is a way of life. It's not just a connection for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, etc. So if this is my choice, and it all depends on me. What is it that I'm choosing for myself? And if I've made this choice that I want my way of life to be such that I'm happy and I can be an instrument to share happiness and help others, then this is the way forward. So I've shared with you a few ideas that some of you brought up in different ways, many other things that, of course, I haven't touched upon, and that list is probably longer than the things that I have touched on. But I hope it's, in some way, a preparation for what's waiting for you. Thank you. And it's really lovely having you here, but also all of you came ready, in the sense that right from the very first conversation, there was such honesty and openness and trust in sharing everything, and it just got better and better and better. I was just reflecting for a moment this morning that usually they say that, there's, when a new group comes together, there's the forming of the group, and there's definitely a storming that happens. And the elements took care of the storm, and we didn't have a storm in here. And that's because all of you came absolutely ready. So much appreciation and thank you. And a big thank you to the team who prepared for all this. We are always aware that apart from the logistics, there's that element of love and yoga and